It's an unseasonably warm Wednesday evening. You've spent the past several hours at work. The past week or so, you've found your job motivation flagging more so than usual. You've been in a fog practically all day today, simply going through the motions without realizing even what you've been doing half the time. And yet, time seems to be moving at half speed. You're so checked out that when your boss approaches you to tell you that it's dead and you can go home early, it barely registers. As you walk home, the streets hiss from the recent rainfall. You know that your significant other will be in classes until late, another couple hours at least. You briefly consider using this serendipitous solitude to catch up on that project that you've been working on haphazardly for the past few months. Let's see the project. A while back, you and some of your older friends were out at a bar catching up. After liquefying considerably more of your paycheck than was perhaps responsible and ending up thoroughly in your cups, you open up to the only people you really consider yourself close to and end up launching into a drunken tirade about the meaninglessness of your utterly menial job and ultimately your own existence. Having never really seen you in such a state before, your friends were briefly taken aback by your sudden uncharacteristic outburst. One of your friends suggested that you get involved with your hobby on a more regular, long-term basis, suggesting that spending your energy on something you actually care about might help you to be better cope with the shittiness of your 9 to 5. Although you were embarrassed that you let your guard down and you felt self-conscious at seeming to have single-handedly brought the mood down at the table, you convinced yourself on the cab ride home that maybe it would be worth trying out. You began your project some months ago and have miraculously managed to keep at it, though your level of motivation and subsequent effort rises and falls considerably. While you were surprised when you started at how good it felt to actually work on something you were passionate about, lately you've found it hard to muster the energy to really care about even this. As soon as you think about the work that awaits you at home, you can feel the panic creeping in from the back of your brain, unbidden. All you can think about is how incredibly far behind you are, and the amount of work seems nothing less than insurmountable. By the time you arrive home and change out of your uncomfortable work clothes, the stress is weighing down on you like a heavy, wet wool blanket. Your computer seems to be staring you down from your desk. You want to sit down and work, but the mere thought of trying to work sends your stress levels flying. More than anything, you feel suddenly and absolutely exhausted, and feel a strong desire to simply hide in bed. Alright, before we look through these options, you are depressed, interaction is exhausting, and you are becoming more and more withdrawn. You are not currently seeing a therapist. You are not currently taking medication for depression. We can't pick one for whatever reason, because we're probably not motivated enough. Reluctantly sit down at your desk and try to make yourself do something. Turn on the TV, telling yourself you just need a quick half hour to unwind from work. Or crawl into bed, you're so stressed and overwhelmed you couldn't possibly accomplish anything anyways. Personally, I try to do work, or at least, hang out or do something, but sometimes it just doesn't work, and you just can't, like even the simplest stuff. So I usually try to just at least not sleep all day, which, let's pick that. Just a half hour of TV, you tell yourself, absently grasping for the remote. You don't so much sit down on the couch as sink into it. You turn on the TV and start going through your usual channel routine. After a few cycles of this, you realize that you're really not doing much more than thumb calisthenics and absently killing time. You check the clock and see that over 20 minutes have passed since you sat down. As your self-imposed time limit creeps even nearer, you become more and more anxious. You stand up and walk to the fridge, telling yourself, I'll just make a quick sandwich and get to work after that. Can't be productive on an empty stomach, right? As you eat, you start pacing around your apartment, heading past your bedroom in the process. You stop in the doorway as if physically unable to cross the threshold. Familiar waves of exhaustion start wrecking you and you feel simultaneously tired and panicked. You close your door and head back to the couch. It's still early yet, you tell yourself. As long as I get to work in an hour, I'll have plenty of time to be productive. As you flip channels and let the CSI and Jeopardy reruns wash over you, you sink deeper into the couch, feeling at once encroached upon and shielded by being quite literally swallowed up by it. As the second hour draws nearer, sure enough, you find yourself getting anxious and jittery. You repeat the fridge-paced couch process a couple more times before you look at the clock and realize that several hours have passed, and not surprisingly, you've managed to get no work done. You crawl into bed, acutely aware of the fact that you have work in the morning, and that any opportunity you had to catch up on your own creative endeavors today was squandered. You're feeling so disgusted with yourself that when Alex calls to talk to you on her way from class, you simply say you had a really rough day at work and you're trying to rest up before your shift tomorrow. She says she understands and wishes you a good night, though you can't help but notice that she sounds slightly disappointed. Ironically, the stress of potentially upsetting your partner compounds with the stress of not having gotten anything done this evening, and the stress of having to go into work tomorrow. The buzzing of anxiety in your brain melts together with your body's utter physical exhaustion, and you sink into a semi-hypnagogic anxious funk, too tired to try and work but too anxious to fall asleep for several hours. You are very depressed. You spend a large amount of time sleeping, hating yourself, and having very little energy or motivations. So nothing changed, basically, in our situation. It's a mild Friday afternoon. Alex calls you from one of her classes telling you that there's going to be a really awesome birthday party tonight at her apartment that one of her roommates is throwing. You've hung out with this roommate a few times with Alex, and you get along well enough, but aren't particularly close. You don't have work in the morning and have nothing else in particular to do tonight. You're feeling kind of run down, but you have been fatigued most of the time lately. You mention that you're feeling ill because you're not sure how else to explain those feelings to someone else, and say that you aren't sure that you can make it tonight. There's a second of silence over your phone, but you can swear you can hear the sound of your partner's face fall. She tries to convince you anyway. You haven't seen her this week, and she sounds pretty insistent that you come over. She even drops a few suggestively worded hints that you can stay over with them tonight after the party. What do you do? Well, a normal person would just shake off their funk, go have a good time with their girlfriend or boyfriend. I usually don't. When I'm really depressed, I don't really feel like doing it. Sometimes I will force myself, just, because distraction is good. And this is also our girlfriend or partner. It could be a guy or a girl. Their name is Alex. So, let's just go. You agree to go, even though you're really not feeling social. You know it's important to Alex and you'd really like to see her. Seeing her does make you feel better sometimes, and you hope that this is the case tonight, even if it does mean dealing with all the usual social anxiety. The time to leave rolls around and you grab your overnight bag. Alex's apartment is a short walk away, and there are already people hanging out on the porch. You feel your chest tighten as you approach the building and try to steal your nerves. You quickly find your partner, chatting away with the birthday girl, and Alex immediately lightens up when she sees you. I'm so happy you came. I wasn't sure if you were going to make it. A young man taps her on the shoulder and she turns back to you to apologize and let you know they have to do something for the party. Alex hands you a beer and plants a kiss on your cheek before going off to deal with whatever came up. As you look around, you don't see anyone else you recognize. Well, if you were a normal person, enthusiastically socialized. But we have depression, so awkwardly stand in the same spot, unsure of what else to do. Put your bag in Alex's room and avoid the crowd in there for a while. Cling to the back wall, sip your beer, and wait for your girlfriend to return. Proceed to drink in earnest, hoping it makes you less comfortable. Well, having a room to go to during a party to take a break is good. Just standing there it's not good, it's just gonna make it worse. So it's kind of just waiting. The other version, or the other method, is just drink and make yourself happier, I guess, which is what I've done a few times as well. So I usually do 3 or 5. Let's do 5. After Alex walks away, you're not quite sure what to do with yourself. Scanning the party for familiar faces yields nothing, and you're not sure where your girlfriend or the birthday girl went off to. Look at the beer in your hand. You know you care a lot less about everything in general when tipsy, but you know you should avoid getting drunk and possibly emotional. You quickly down the beer, hoping that it will loosen you up a little. You down a few more as quickly as your stomach will let you handle the carbonation comfortably, and wait for it to take effect. By the time it does, Alex has already returned and is introducing you to people. However, all that drinking accomplished was making you even more tired and unfocused, and you stick to your girlfriend for the rest of the night, staying fairly quiet in group conversations. Later that night, as the two of you are both tipsy and dozing off, Alex cuddles up to you and lightly slurs, "I'm really glad you turned up tonight. To be honest, I really didn't think you'd show. It's really cool you did, really." You know she meant it lovingly, but you're not quite sure how you feel about that statement. Alright. It sucks when you have depression. It's always... Well, when you have depression and a partner, it's always... You feel this way, and it feels so horrible for putting the other person through that too, and not functioning normal and all that stuff, so...